Good evening. Hi. This is, as you know, astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. And welcome and a very, very happy new year to all of you. And thank you so much for joining me, because I thought I shouldn't do this on New Year's Day, which was yesterday. And I'm still getting all muddled up about what day it is, where I am, what the date is, because a lot of you might have had hangovers. I'm very pleased to say I had no hangover because I didn't really have a drink on New Year's Eve. I had a glass of bubbles with my friend I was talking to in Copenhagen, and that was it. Went to bed early, slept like a baby, and yesterday, if it was yesterday, New Year's Day, again, had a very quiet, peaceful time. But welcome to 2024. And tonight, I'm going to talk about some very powerful astrology. So it's going to get quite serious tonight because January sets the tone for the whole year ahead. It really is quite an interesting month astrologically. And I feel that 2024 is a year where we have the opportunities to make profound changes in our own lives. And just before I go into the astrology, I want to talk to you a little bit about how astrology is helpful, why I'm an astrologer, why I think it is so useful for us in our everyday lives. Because you have to remember the planets, all those sparkly things up in the sky, or actually some of them are underneath us because we live on a sphere. So we are surrounded by the planets. They're over there, they're here, they're here, they're here, they're up there, they're down there. So what I want to say is that they show us the way. They don't dictate our future. And I think it's really important to get our head around this and to dispel the myths about astrology, horoscopes. Andy, I like that. They're the map we can follow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's like our natal chart is a blueprint. It's a map. It's this point in time when we arrive on planet Earth. And it's unique to each of us. And it gives us, as we go through our lives and the movements of the planets affect the points in time of the different energies on our birth map, let's call it that, then what it does is it gives us the opportunity to co-create with the cosmos, thus initiating our ideas, our dreams, our plans. We are not victims of fate. We could argue this to the finest detail because sometimes bad things happen to good people. The thing is, it doesn't mean that the astrology will always prevent those bad things happening to any of us. You know, we've all been through difficult, challenging times, but you know what? Didn't you grow through those bad times, those bad events? I know I did. I've worked very hard through my life at trying to comprehend what the cosmos is trying to tell me. I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it very briefly again for any of you here who are new to my channel. And if you are new tonight, a very big welcome to you. It's a bit crazy here. Sometimes I go off at a tangent. I go all over the place. But at the end of the day, this is a channel about astrology. When my mother died in 2015, I thought very seriously about leaving Gozo and moving back to the United Kingdom. In fact, I had a yearning to go and live in Edinburgh, where I had a very good, some very good friends, a couple and their family. And I knew that I would really have a lot of fun through whom I could meet through them. And so what happened was I had my house on the market. It sold here in Gozo, but the completion date wasn't till August, and we're now in the May of 2017. And it's so lovely to see so many of you here, because this is an interesting story, and this is what I want to tell you about the way we work with the cosmos. There was a particular morning, a Saturday morning, I will never forget it, when I guess I wasn't entirely sure if moving to the UK, and especially moving to Scotland, was the right thing for me to do. I was now, as I've mentioned before, an orphan. So I had no responsibilities because I have no children, no siblings. I have some cousins, but I have no ties that keep me to any particular place on the planet. And I had no partner, and I have no partner. I have some incredibly good friends of both sexes. But what happened was, on this particular Saturday morning, I was walking across my bedroom to start clearing out another drawer in preparation to get the house ready to move in a couple of months' time. And I just said to the universe out loud, "Hey, divine, if I'm meant to go to the UK or to Scotland in particular, show me a sign, show me the way." Well, what happened next, I don't really know, because I don't actually remember. But when I kind of came to, I was on the floor with my legs having done the splits and my right ankle very badly broken. Do you know what? I sat there and I didn't scream or cry or kind of think, "Oh God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? My mobile phone is downstairs." And I just thought to myself, the first thought was, well, that's clear. Clearly, I'm not meant to be going to the United Kingdom, at least not in the next 12 months, because I'd already broken this leg once. So I thought, well, I know how long it takes, especially when one is a little bit more mature, to get over broken bones, especially our legs. And so I tell you that story because there was a Saturn transit in my chart. It was what's known as a square from where it was. Well, I was actually still having my Saturn return. So Saturn was in Scorpio, conjunct my natal Saturn in Scorpio. but it was squaring my moon. And so it was a Saturn transit. So it was clear that Saturn was making a point. The other thing about Saturn is that it rules the skeleton. So if you get a bad Saturn transit, it will often be in the form of a broken bone. So I tell you this story in that at that point in time, I was not particularly paying much attention to my natal chart. I was in the process of having yet again more lessons with my teacher and had no kind of conscious ideas of ever turning this into a reality and working as an astrologer as I do now. But it was a lesson that the cosmos really does know better than us, and we have to listen to it. And what followed was that the apartment of my dreams, which I had seen 8 years previously here in Gozo, that I really had wanted to move into, but couldn't sell my house, poof, it became available. And here I am. And here I've stayed. And it's turned out to be the best possible thing I could have done. So the reason I tell you this story is because the planets don't they don't dictate to us. They show us the way. Sometimes they show us in quite a forceful way if we're not getting the message. So that's why it's so helpful to know your natal chart and to understand what is happening in your natal chart so that you work with the energy, you allow it to flow through you, to guide you. So if we now bring that back to the present day, and the fact that it is now January the 2nd, 2024. I mean, I don't know how many of you know your charts well, at least know your rising sign, where your moon is, and maybe a little bit more. Then I would suggest this in particular is the year you need to become much more familiar with this cosmic roadmap you've been gifted at birth. Because January, and let alone the rest of the year, is an absolutely incredibly powerful month of potential, leading us into a year that I think when we look back on 2024, from 2025 and beyond, we will go, that's when the switch happened. That's when the change really began. I'm not saying that the problems of the world will all be resolved in 2024, but there'll be lots of opportunities for world leaders to kind of try and get the message. And someone, M. Collinson, you're mentioning Astrodienst. Yes, you can download your free chart. All you have to do is put in your birth information. It's ever so easy. There's also another one called Time Passages. There's also AstroSeek, which I use. There are so many of these free versions that you can find out what your birth chart is, what your rising sign is, and that really helps a lot, especially when you're listening to myself or any of the other excellent astrologers out there. When they talk about your rising sign, it dictates the parts of your life that are going to be affected by, for example, Pluto's massive shift this year into the sign of Aquarius. Now, whilst I mentioned that, some of you might remember I did a lovely interview with the extremely talented channeler and tarot reader and hypnotherapist Julie Poole. Well, we are doing another video, a collaboration at some point this month, all about Pluto's move into Aquarius and how it will affect each sign, a little bit about the astrology, and a little bit of tarot. So I think that'll really be quite a nice mix. Not sure of the date yet, but it'll be sometime this month. So keep an eye open for when that comes out. We will give you some warning and some advertising. But let's come back to January, because do you know what's happening today? January the 2nd. This is a yippee yahoo day. Mercury, our planet of communication, at last stations direct. Now, this is good news, but it doesn't mean we're quite out of the woods. And this is because you probably hear myself and other astrologers talking about a planet being in its shadow. And you know, that's an interesting thought, because with Jungian psychology, we talk about the shadow self. We talk about the energy that will trip us up if we're not fully aware of it. Now, what I want to say, when a planet is in shadow, which means it's traveling back through the degrees that it retrograded through. So, of course, Mercury has retrograded back into Sagittarius, the sign of fun, the sign of expansion and luck and opportunity and spiritual awareness. So you may find, as it moves through these first few days in Sagittarius, and I'm just looking to see where it moves. Okay, it moves into Capricorn, back into Capricorn on the 14th of January. So you see, it will still be in shadow until about the 18th, 19th, 20th. So what effect this has at the beginning of the month is that what we find is that things come up that perhaps we left unattended to, unaddressed, unthought about, something that wasn't completed. So it's giving us plenty of time to really kind of focus on the parts that it brings up, that we take a second look at. And we think, I really do need to look at this, because this is a bit like my shadow self. This can trip me up. And I'm aware, all of you, and I know you're all saying Happy New Year and hi and everything. And I'm not going to get distracted by the live chat for now. I'm going to come to it in a little bit, because I think it's important to get this astrology out first, and then I can look at your live chat. But thank you so much for so many of you being here today, because it's still a funny time of year, because the kids are still home. They don't go back to school till probably next week. I don't know whether it's a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Sunday. I have no idea. But as a lovely Capricorn viewer reminded me, us Capricorns have birthdays at this time of year. And I thought, oops, very sorry, forgot. I mean, I didn't forget, but I think this lovely subscriber made a very good point, because it must be really tough for the sign of Capricorn to have a birthday, let alone on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, or the in-between days, but New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. You either just join in and have one huge, fabulous party, or you get kind of a lot. There you go. Okay, you're a Cappy. Well, happy birthday, Cappy. But let's have a little bit look more at this astrology for January, because we're going to get a build-up of energy in the sign of Capricorn, which is really quite interesting. And then our two major players of this month, one being the sun, that, as you know, I see as the heart, the beating heart of our solar system. So one is the sun, and the other, of course, is Pluto, our dwarf planet, our little dwarf planet with an enormous punch. There is some very important information about these two major players, but I'm going to come to that in a little bit. So let's see what I want to talk about next, because by the 4th, we have Mars entering Capricorn. And Mars, remember, is our planet of energy, action. In the sign of Capricorn, it's about hard work. And there's something about, I always think, the beginning of the year, because, of course, we always have Capricorn at this time of year. And I think it's quite interesting that Mars is in Capricorn also at this year at this time, because it's like we're putting our noses to the grindstone. We're really kind of planning everything out, getting our spreadsheets out, or whether we do them on a tablet or whether we do them actually the old-fashioned way, big table, big sheet of paper. I've got so used to doing things on my tablet. I always do it on my tablet. And I think that, my lovely Viking lady, Vitska, have I got your name right? Have I pronounced it right? 8th of January is your birthday. You will be the same age as me, my love, 68. What a wonderful, wonderful age. You are blessed. And interestingly, the 8th of January was my grandmother's birthday, and she came from the same part of the world as yourself. So she was also of Viking origin. So I digress. Back to the astrology. So we've got all this energy moving into Capricorn, because then on the 14th, Mercury moves in. And what I really want to say is that we have this new moon in Capricorn as well. So we've got a new moon in Capricorn on the 11th. Now, I will, of course, as usual, be doing my pre-recorded video for the new moon with all your individual time-stamped zodiac signs, your rising sign, moon sign, sun sign, so that you know how this Capricorn new moon is going to affect you personally. But it's an interesting new moon because there's something about it that makes me feel expect the unexpected, because Uranus is a player. Uranus, our planet of the unexpected, of shock, of surprise, of astrology. It rules astrology. It also rules AI. It rules anything technologically wise. So, and of course, it rules Aquarius, which is going to be the sign that will get maximum coverage from all of us astrologers throughout the next 20 years. But I'll come More to that in a minute. Hey, Vietska, I said it right. Fantastic. I got your name right. Yay. I'm happy. So the other important thing about this new moon on January the 11th is that Eris goes direct. Eris is in Aries. And if you remember, Eris is this fighting goddess. She is the sister of Mars. She is a fighter. She is rebellious. She does not stand for any rubbish, and she stands up for women's rights. She is like the suffragette of the cosmos, and she goes direct. Now, this is going to have a direct impact through the Capricorn energy on healing. What wounds do you still have open and raw? Because we all have wounds. And Chiron in Aries, which is going direct, Chiron, which is our centaur that represents the wounds that we carry within, the wounds that we don't always talk about, the wounds that if we don't acknowledge become part of our shadow and will come out in quite challenging, unpleasant, difficult and nasty retorts and ways. So Chiron is actually squaring, which is a hard transit. So Chiron is squaring the new moon. And so this new moon invites you. It gives you the opportunity to say, okay, cosmos, I'm at your mercy. Show me the way. Take the risk. Ask for the cosmos to show you how you can heal, overcome some of your own inner wounds. There may be things that are very confusing for you, that you just don't understand and don't see clearly, because Neptune in Pisces is squaring Mars in Capricorn. So try as you might, and you try hard to try and see through the kind of mist and veil of misinformation, you still find it difficult to get you, to understand you. And sometimes we need somebody who can step in and help us. And Jupiter, our planet of expansion, luck, and opportunity, in Taurus is trining Mars. Now, even though this is a helpful aspect, remember Neptune's squaring Mars. So Jupiter expands and can make us feel as if, got it. That's what it's about. But beware, be careful. Capricorn is a sign about timing because it's ruled by Saturn. So with this new moon in Capricorn, you really need to take your time with everything and anything. Don't make rash decisions. Don't rush in, because I think this month there's going to be a lot of excess energy around. I think we're actually all going to feel quite fired up and excited. And this is partly due to Pluto's move into Aquarius, which I'm just going to come to. Because when it moves in, we're going to get this ripple of kind of energy that affects all of us on a kind of vibrational level, from the top of all our chakras are just going to be kind of activated and woken up, because Aquarius is the sign of awakening. We know about the famous song from the musical Hair, Dawning of the Age of Aquarius. And we really are at that threshold for all of us, that we are at this point where we are beginning to have a mass collective awakening. So let me just move on a bit, because I want to get to, where do I have it? Here we go, my notes. So on January the 20th, the sun is right at what we call the anaretic degree of Capricorn. The sun, remember, the beating heart of our solar system. As I said recently, sometimes we forget why the ancients worshipped the sun. Maybe they knew better than us to respect the sun and the sun's energy, because without it, we won't be here. And I think the sun is going through, well, it's certainly going through a lot of interesting cycles at the moment, solar flares and all that kind of solar activity. There are various websites where you can find out quite distinct and direct information about that, because the energy does affect the planet. And remember, we are made up of energy. Everything affects us. As I've said before, neutrinos are falling through our body at the speed of light. We just have this constant energy being thrown out from our sun to us. And on the 20th of January, at this anaretic degree, which means it emphasizes the energy of Capricorn. And it's like do you know the tarot and the card known as the Fool, where he is looking up into the sky and he's got a dog barking at his legs saying, "Careful, careful, you're right on the precipice." And his leg is raised and he's got his rod and his little bag over his shoulder, and he's about to step over a precipice. So, hi, welcome AMD. Good to see you here, and you, Jem. I did clock that you were here. So, listen, the sun is like the Fool in the tarot, but it's combined with Pluto. Pluto, our planet of transformation, our planet of personal empowerment, of collective empowerment, once it fully moves into the sign of Aquarius. Pluto also at 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Capricorn. They are both absolutely at the same degree. This is so powerful. Andy, your natal Mars is at 27 and your sun is 28 Cap. You are going to feel this, Andy, but I know I'm seeing you on Saturday, so we can look at all of that there. But yes, you will feel this, not necessarily on the day, because this energy kind of swirls around. But the power of this energy is such that it's emphasizing the fact that Pluto has done most of what it needed to do in Capricorn, which is to at least make the world aware, the collective aware, that the way of governing our planet with this hierarchical system, this kind of old-fashioned leader at the top, and then it kind of a pyramid down to the workers at the bottom, like a beehive. We have the queen bee and all the others doing the hard work. It's emphasizing that this needs to change, and the sun shedding its light on it is saying, we are all in the last chance saloon, not particularly on the 20th of January. It's a point in time. It's saying this and things need to change. No more of the old ways. What is it that we have to kill each other to make our point? Where did debate and reasoning and good conversation leave us? Where did that go? Why have we not yet conquered our egos? Why have we not yet conquered the way we get inflated, or the way leaders get inflated and puffed up with their own narcissism, rather than recognizing what they really should be doing, which is finding a better way to look after our planet? I think that this tipping point that we find ourselves on, we will look back to the 20th of January 2024 and realize that this was the beginning of that tipping point, of the fool stepping over the precipice. But remember, with the card of the fool, if we don't take that risk, if we don't jump, we don't grow. There was a lovely book written, oh gosh, about 40 years ago, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by a lovely lady called Susan Jeffers. And she talks about not just feel the fear and do it anyway, which tells you everything about the content of the book. But one of the things that she talks about is take risks and grow. Because if we don't take risks, we never know. We just never know. So let's move on to the 21st of January, because by the 21st, the sun moves ahead of Pluto, right ahead of Pluto, into Aquarius, because on the 20th, it actually moves into Aquarius. So later on the day of the 20th, the sun moves into Aquarius. And at that point, we get Pluto still at that anoretic degree, saying, I'm just going to take my time because I haven't finished with what goes on in Capricorn yet. We know that. We only have to look at the news to know that there's still too many people that don't get it. I saw on the news a wonderful statement by a young man in Israel who said, I will just refuse to join the army if I'm called up. I don't want to kill people. And you know what? If we get this wave, this tsunami of young men of that age on this planet that all say the same thing, that top level of control will crumble. It can't make us. And if all the young men just go, not doing it, there's a better way, wouldn't that be amazing? And you know, that's all quite possible. That is quite possible with Pluto's move into Aquarius. Now, let's just talk about this a bit, because I am going to do, apart from the video I'm going to do with Julie Paul, I will also be doing my own video about Pluto in general in 2024, because it does a bit of a dance again. Because Pluto, and if I just bring my Pluto notes up, here we go. Because Pluto actually it moves into Aquarius on the 21st. Now remember, Aquarius is about the community at large. It's a highly spiritual sign. It's a highly evolved sign. It's about these frequencies and energies, almost like the energies that get transmitted from the sun. So it's interesting that as Pluto moves into Aquarius, we have the sun there as well, as if it's heralding the way for Pluto to move in. Now, Pluto stays in Aquarius for quite a long time this year, but on May the 2nd, it starts to go retrograde, and by the 2nd of September, it goes back into Capricorn because it needs to tidy things up. Now, I think that's very interesting, because that will be the build-up towards the US elections, if they happen, because we just don't know what's going to unfold this year. Nothing is set in stone. And what will happen then is Pluto will move back into Capricorn on the 20th of November. So, does anyone know the exact date of the US elections, if we have them? Because that would be really interesting, because Pluto moves back into Aquarius on the 20th of November. So I like that, Annabelle, the shadow work. Yeah, the cockroaches under the carpet. We can say that again. November the 5th. Okay, so Pluto will be direct. It will be tidying up the old order. If the old order has not fallen, crumbled, disintegrated, enough of these elderly patriarchs dictating the affairs of the world. I'm not being political. I'm just saying that I think we need a little bit of more innovative Aquarian awareness and enlightenment coming in, because Aquarius is the sign of awakening. Aquarius is the sign of enlightenment. So once Pluto moves into Aquarius, and it will stay in Aquarius from the 20th of November for 20 years. That's big stuff. I mean, apart from the rumbles and the kind of almost like seismic activity that we might expect around this energy on and around, the US election and Pluto's move into Aquarius, what else is going to be happening on the planet? Because Aquarius is an air sign, but it's fixed. But air signs think. They have a growing awareness and an ability to think for the wider kind of collective. So if you think of Aquarius, it's about the community at large. So Aquarius can think for the community at large. Pluto comes in and says, Let me help you with this. Let me transform the collective. Let me help them wake up. So I think what we're going to see in the first few years of Pluto's move into Aquarius is a gradual tsunami and tipping point as the collective wake up and say enough is enough. We've already started in little pockets of people throughout the world. There is this movement. What we need to look for, okay, it's November the 5th, thank you. That's Guy Fawkes Night in the United Kingdom. That's when Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. I have no idea if that might be symbolic, but just saying, just interesting. Will someone try to blow up, I don't know, the Capitol building or something? But we just don't know, do we? We just don't know, because remember, Uranus, our planet of the unexpected, of literally earthquakes and earth-shattering events, is still in Taurus. And it doesn't move into Gemini, another air sign, because we're going to be moving from all these fixed kind of earthy signs, Pluto, Earth cardinal, Taurus, Earth fixed. We're going to be moving from these fixed signs into air signs, where there are two things that are going to happen. Our thinking is going to change. How it's going to change is that it's going to open up and be much less rigid. We are going to be able to look at and view and kind of work things out in a different way, because what's going to be happening simultaneously? Yes, Carolina, I think a lot of people are going to be feeling lost in the new energy, because Aquarius is going to raise the energy of our human consciousness. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to wake up. And how I visualize it, and I don't know why I have this image, but I see like when Moses asked God to part the Red Sea. I'm seeing this image of the sea parting, of these massive waves showing a path through, if you like, the trouble, the difficulties. And that on one side of the wave are the people that, for instance, probably are watching me now. Because I think if you're listening now, you're meant to be hearing what I'm saying. You know, I don't think anything happens by chance. So, you know, and the other side, I think, are the people that may think, what's happening? WTF? I'm not going to swear. WTF emoji. Because they may not be able to somehow get out of their own way to connect with what is being offered in the form of personal empowerment and transformation by Pluto. So it isn't going to be an easy ride. So I see these waves going in two different directions. It doesn't mean anything terrible happens to the people that go that way, which I feel is to the left. The people that go to the right, which you could say is the right way, and the right side of the brain is the part of us that can open up to that higher consciousness, that opens up to the higher energies that are there for us to basically work with. So not only is this whole year going to be a year of profound change. So is January, because January sound like I'm going French. January is like the beginners and overture for the play. Well, actually, it's a musical that is going to be performed throughout the year. So we're all settling into our seats or the upper circle or our boxes. We're all settled, we're waiting. The orchestra conductor is coming on and taking his little bow to us, and he's going tap, tap, tap as Pluto moves into Aquarius, and so it begins. And what is this orchestration going to sound like? How are you going to make it sound? You know, we can all make this musical kind of conscious awareness hugely beautiful and powerful, or we can allow it to become discordant and unimaginably difficult to listen to. So let me just continue with what happens, because I've got so carried away, as you see, with Pluto's move into Aquarius. What I also want to talk about is that we also have a full moon, of course, this month in Leo, and it's on the 25th, because of course on the 25th of January. So not only has Pluto moved into Aquarius, but it's opposite the sun in Aquarius. So this full moon is it's slightly wide because it's at about 5 degrees, but it's kind of opposite Pluto. So this is a powerful full moon. This is a full moon that invites exciting transformation. And did you know we all have the ability to flip energy from negative into positive? There is a natural power of the mind which we are going to find we suddenly start to remember this year and this month, so that we start to almost quite easily, the people that have gone on the right hand side of this tsunami wave will find that naturally they are going, yeah, bring it on. And they're going, today I am positive. Every day I am positive. And then you train your mind to be positive. Some days will be crap, but you will handle it in a positive way, because there is no way we can avoid the, difficult, challenging things that happen in life. But we can make the way we manage them so much easier. That is what is so important to remember. So we will actually, with Pluto's move into Aquarius, we will learn and become much more aware of the natural power of the mind. That people like Edgar Cayce, go and read some of his work. They knew about all this stuff over 100 years ago. Florence Scovel Shinn, that I talk about with the game of life and how to play it. We've just forgotten. We've really forgotten. But the changes are going to happen. You know what happened when Pluto went into Aquarius before? One of the things that happened back in 17 whatever, I haven't got the dates, but I will sort them out for when I do my Pluto video. We had the French Revolution. We had the storming of the Bastille. The people cut the head off the king. Does this feel like Pluto in Aquarius? Is Pluto's move into Aquarius this time going to metaphorically kind of mean that we change the whole system of hierarchy? It has to change. It no longer serves us. We have to remember that. So it is an interesting full moon. And as I say, yet again, with this full moon, I will be doing a separate video, pre-recorded video with all your individual zodiac signs time-stamped. So the next, and also I forgot to mention that on the 23rd, Venus, our planet of relationship, love, self-worth, moves also into Capricorn. So we're going to have Venus, Mars, Mercury, all in Capricorn, as if they are hot on the heels of Pluto in Aquarius. And over the next few months, they're all going to come up and be conjunct Pluto. It's really quite exciting. It's almost like they're all rushing up and going, "Oh, Pluto, we're so glad you're here," and giving Pluto a great big kiss. We've needed you to finish off what you're doing in Capricorn and finally help humanity wake up, which is what also Venus, Mars, and Mercury are going to do when they move into Aquarius. Now, the 27th of January, Uranus in Taurus, our planet of shocks, the unexpected, of uranium, of earthquakes. Sadly, we had an earthquake yesterday in Japan. I mean, Japan has really been in the headlines. I will, I think, have a look at their astrology, because you can look at the astrology of a country. I will try and find their natal chart and just have a look, because not only did they have the earthquake yesterday, and they're still getting minor earthquakes and tremors, but they've had tsunami warnings, which went as far as Russia, as Korea, with tsunami warnings. And today they have had this massive accident at the airport where two planes, or a plane landing, clipped another plane as it was landing. The smaller plane burst into flames. It exploded, and sadly 5 souls were lost. 1 survived, the pilot. The other plane, which was, and I can't remember what plane it was, but it had a lot of people on board, and my God, are they blessed. They all evacuated within something like 90 seconds. This plane was moving down the runway to a standstill, full of flames. It absolutely burst into flames. So Japan has really been put through, and it's interesting because it kind of sets a tone for January. It sets the tone for the year. So coming back to Uranus going direct on the 27th, we have to remember that Taurus, where Uranus is the earth. It's about trees. It's about plants. It's about growth. It's about planting. It's about feeding ourselves, not just with nourishment, good food, but nourishing ourselves with what we watch on television, with what we read in the news. Self-nourishment, personal nourishment. So this very much is a month, because I'm going to wind this down and just bring it to a close, because this is the month that we look back and we say, And so it begins. Because that really is what this energy is about. Don't expect everything to happen overnight or quickly, although we may still get seismic events like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. We had the Icelandic volcano that erupted. So we may still get events like that this year. So not just in January, but it may be around. And also it's important to remember that Uranus actually rules aviation. So it's interesting. And I'm not quite sure how Uranus was aspected today. But I can just quickly have a look because it was, let me see if it had a bad square to anything. Uranus, not particularly. It was trining the sun. Well, it was trining the sun, our heart, our soul. And maybe that's actually saying they survived. It was a good, it was okay. They survived. So what I want to say is words, be mindful of the words you use through the month of January, but not just through the month of January, through the rest of the year, through the rest of your lives. Words are vibrations. They create a sound frequency, and that frequency creates our reality. It's like if we go, oh, I'm so bored. Nothing nice ever happens to me. And then what do you get? Boring stuff and nothing particularly happening. But if you go, wow, I'm just looking forward to this day. This day is going to be awesome. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's just going to be a really good day. And even if nothing amazingly, fantastically successful happens, you will feel an awful lot better. Change your thoughts, change your reality. Your thoughts are like a magnet. Your words are like a magnet. The universe gives back what you put out. So if you keep putting out negativity, you're just going to get negativity back. If you put out procrastination, you're just going to get more things to make you procrastinate. Do you see where I'm coming from? And I think I told you in the last live, I taught myself to choose to be happy every day. So for a period of something like, I can't remember, 2 or 3 weeks, I listened, and I told you about this before, but try it. It really works. I listened to the song by Pharrell Williams called Happy. And every morning when I got out of bed, I put it on. And to start with, it was really difficult. I didn't want to sing along. I didn't want to clap along. I didn't want to kind of join in. But after about a week, I thought, well, actually, it's quite fun. And as time passed and I kept doing this, I noticed that my days and the content of my days improved 1,000%. I don't have bad days because I choose to have good days. Sometimes maybe not much of any importance will happen, but you put in what you get out. And of course, I never well, actually, no, that's not true. I was going to say I never realized I would be doing what I'm doing now in terms of running a business at this point in my life and running a YouTube channel. But you know what? Actually, I did know. The seed of it has been there for probably over 20, 30 years. certainly since I heard about YouTube, and I'm not sure how long YouTube has been up and running, but there was always a seed, there was a thought that kept going round, just kind of teasing me almost and waking me up. And now I have made that dream a reality. And why I tell you this is because it just takes mind control in the nicest possible and easiest way to go to the right. You remember I told you about the TED Talks video where the woman talks about how she got over a stroke by moving to the right side of her brain, which is the part where our intuition lies, our imagination, our creativity. And that if we get caught in the left part, which is all about practicalities, list making, Virgo stuff, it's about consciously being aware to get out of what I would call, and what a wonderful hypnotherapist called Emma Triplett taught me, is called the primitive brain. When you're caught in that kind of ruminations about how awful your life is, you're actually caught in your primitive brain. All you need to do is to be aware and think, oh, here I go again. I'm caught in my primitive brain. The very fact that you think that thought encourages the brain to create enough serotonin, the feel-good chemical, to take you back up into the intellect, which helps you reason out and work out the solution to whatever it is that you are finding challenging. This is really important information. So on that note, I am going to bring it to a close because I've gone way beyond my hour because, as I say before, really we don't have an attention span that goes on longer than about, 10 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. But I see many of you have stayed the course. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Just let me have a quick look at your chat. And what I do is at the end of the video, I do go back and I look at all your chat. What's a shame is that it doesn't seem to appear on the video that then goes up on the channel. So I don't know where it goes, but there must be a way to find it, but I don't know where it goes. That is a wonderful phrase to say. We are so lucky, Tinica. And I say that to myself now every morning. I mean, I am lucky. I'm super lucky. I'm in the apartment that I dreamed I would have. I had to break my ankle to get here. But sometimes the universe has to be a little bit drastic to make sure I didn't go down the wrong path. And, it's about this year is the year we wake up. A lot of us will wake up or start that waking up process. My wish for all of you is that I will endeavor to do my best to help those of you that come to my channel find out how to do that through the astrology, through the self-development, through these other little tips that I will bring in, through the channeling. And I mean, obviously, my guides, my Orion lot are working absolutely 19 to the dozen tonight because I haven't stopped for breath. So I know this is not me. This is my lovely, wonderful star beings that channel through me. More of that later this year because, I've got some stories to tell you, but it's not quite ready to be given birth to yet. but it will be super exciting. Hey, Andy, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday for your session. Remember, if you do want a session with me, please go to my website. I do have an online booking system. Now, just as a quick update, with the booking system, anyone who books in March, I don't know when I'm going to have my back surgery, but it is going to be in March. If you've booked and paid, don't worry. Team Penny will find another time for you later when I'm recovered. If you want a refund because you don't want to wait, we will organize that. So please don't worry about that. But my surgery is looking most likely to be in March. And I've gone through the calendar looking at all the lunar aspects to make sure I choose the right date. So, oh, Anne-Marie Devet. Oh, lovely. You're just at the end of it. So, listen, guys, I'm just going to shut these down so I can get to the, oh my God, it says ads are going to be running and we're going to have all lots of interruptions. Thank you so much for joining me. Please come and have a chat with me for a session. We have such fun. And also remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. And I really look forward to seeing you next time. So God bless you all. I love you all. You're all absolutely amazingly awesome. And I will see you very soon. Hang on. Lots of love. Bye.